Every species on this planet has a natural habitat. Lions have the savanna, fish have the ocean, bears have the forest. And for 200,000 years, humans had theirs too. Small tribes, open land, firelight at night, a sky full of stars, and nothing louder than the wind. And then, in about 200 years, we traded all of it for fluorescent lighting, 9-to-5 schedules, infinite scrolling, and a world that never turns off. And we called it progress. But what if we were wrong? What if modern life isn't just stressful or exhausting? What if it's actually, clinically, measurably breaking our minds? And what if the system profiting from your productivity already knows that and doesn't care? Let's start with a number that should stop you cold. In a single year, 2020, global cases of anxiety and depression jumped 25%. Not over a decade, 1 year. That's 150 million additional people crossing the clinical threshold for a diagnosable mental health condition in 12 months. And before you say, well, that was the pandemic, the trend was already climbing for 30 years before anyone had heard of COVID. The pandemic didn't create the problem. It just ripped the curtain off something that was already happening underneath. 1 in 4 people on this planet now has a diagnosable mental health condition. Not a rough patch, not a hard week, a condition. And we keep treating it like a personal failure, like 800 million people all just individually decided to fall apart. At some point, you stop blaming the people and start looking at the water they're all swimming in. So what is in the water? Start with sleep, because this one is so simple it's almost embarrassing. Humans evolved to sleep with the sun. You got tired when it got dark. You woke when it got light. That rhythm is written into your biology at a cellular level. It controls your hormones, your immune system, your emotional regulation, your memory, everything. And then we invented artificial light and torched that system overnight. The blue light coming off your phone right now is telling your brain it's midday. Your melatonin is being suppressed. Your sleep cycle is being pushed back. Your rest is being fragmented in ways you can't even feel happening. The average person today sleeps 1 to 2 hours less per night than people did a century ago. That sounds minor. It isn't. Chronic sleep loss at that level raises your risk of depression by 40%. It physically shrinks the region of your brain that regulates fear. It impairs your ability to read other people's emotions. It makes everything harder and everything feel worse. We've built a world so bright and so loud, our brains never fully power down. And we wonder why everyone feels like they're running on fumes. But here's where it gets darker. Because sleep deprivation doesn't just make you miserable, it makes you easier to manipulate. A sleep-deprived brain is more impulsive, more reactive, more susceptible to fear-based messaging, more likely to click, to scroll, to buy. And the same companies keeping your screen glowing at 2 a.m. know exactly what they're doing. Now here's the one that should genuinely disturb you. 90% of your body's serotonin, the chemical that regulates your mood, your sense of well-being, your ability to feel okay, is not produced in your brain. It's produced in your gut. Not your brain, your gut. The same gut you've been filling with ultra-processed food, refined sugar, artificial additives, and seed oils for the last 5 decades. The modern diet is systematically destroying the microbiome that produces the one chemical most antidepressants are trying to synthetically boost. Read that again. We are eating our way into a mental health crisis. The science on this has been published, peer-reviewed, and sitting in journals since the 1980s. And in that same period, the ultra-processed food industry grew into a multi-trillion-dollar machine. The pharmaceutical industry built a second multi-trillion-dollar machine selling medication to manage the symptoms. And nobody in either industry had any financial reason to connect those 2 dots loudly enough for you to hear it. This is not a conspiracy. No single person planned this. but the outcome is the same as if they had. And then there's loneliness. And this is the one we really don't want to look at. We live in the most connected era in human history. You can video call someone on the other side of the planet in seconds. You have followers, an audience, hundreds of people who see your life. And yet in 2023, the US Surgeon General didn't call loneliness a trend or a concern. He declared it a public health epidemic. And then he said something that should have been front page news everywhere. Loneliness has the same effect on your lifespan as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Not a metaphor, a clinical equivalence. Your body processes social isolation the same way it processes physical danger. Because for 200,000 years, being alone meant you were probably about to die. The tribe was survival. Separation from it triggered every alarm in your nervous system at once. And now we've built a civilization where millions of people go days, weeks, sometimes months, without a single meaningful human connection. We handed everyone a screen and called it community. But your nervous system knows the difference. It has always known the difference. Here's the question I want you to sit with for a second. If connection is free, if nature is mostly free, if sleep costs nothing, why are the things that actually keep us mentally well the hardest things to access in modern life? And why are the things that slowly erode our mental health the most frictionless, the most convenient, the most aggressively marketed? That is not an accident. Because here's what modern life actually optimizes for. And this is the part nobody says out loud. Your anxiety keeps you scrolling. Your insecurity sells you things. Your loneliness drives you back to the apps. Your sleep deprivation makes you impulsive and easy to market to. Your disconnection from nature makes you restless, and consumption feels like a temporary fix. A healthy, well-rested, deeply connected human being with a strong sense of purpose is, from a purely economic standpoint, a terrible consumer. The system does not need you thriving. It needs you just functional enough to keep participating. Again, not a conspiracy. Nobody sat in a room and decided to make everyone mentally ill. It's more unsettling than that. It's just what happens when you build an entire civilization around engagement and profit and productivity, and simply forget to check whether the humans running it are actually okay. Or maybe don't forget. Maybe just don't prioritize it. And here's the thing that keeps this question alive for me. We've had the research for decades. The links between urban environments and anxiety, between processed food and depression, between social media use and adolescent mental health deterioration, between nature exposure and nervous system regulation. It's all been there, published, peer-reviewed, available. And in that same window of time, antidepressant prescriptions in the US increased by over 3,000%. 3,000%. We didn't fix the water. We just kept selling people better ways to drink it. So what do you do with that? I'm not going to give you a 5-step morning routine. I'm not going to tell you to go touch grass and everything will be fine. Because the honest answer is that some of this is bigger than individual choices. Some of it requires the kind of systemic change that's slow and hard and deeply inconvenient for a lot of powerful people. But some of it isn't. Some of it is just recognizing what's happening, naming it clearly, understanding that your anxiety, your exhaustion, your low-grade sense that something is wrong, that's not weakness. That's not a chemical imbalance you were born with. That might just be a perfectly rational response to an environment that was never built for you. You're not broken. You're not failing at modern life. You might just be the only sane person in a system that lost its mind. And honestly, the fact that it bothers you this much might be the most human thing about you.